Good evening, Tifosi Bianconeri. Welcome, everyone, to episode 339 of the Turin Giants podcast. We are coming to you live on YouTube just minutes after the final whistle, giving our instant reactions and emotions while they're still fresh in our minds. I'm Jack, joined today by the Turin Giants Goat himself, the host that usually loves you most. Which
I still love them the most.
And then the man with a swipe card into Juve's front office and a skeleton key into the side door of J Medical. We have Fred.
It's a hell of an intro, Jack.
It's a good one.
All right, boys. That was a sad one, but lo and behold, we have to do this. We have our fans here. A quick shout out to those fans. Everyone on YouTube joining us live, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. If you're listening later on audio, we appreciate you as well. Thanks for downloading us and giving us a listen. Give us 5 stars. You can find Turin Giants on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And, of course, full videos live on YouTube at Turin Giants Official. You can also give us a follow on Instagram at Turin Giants. And visit us at turingiants.com for great merch. The sweatshirt I'm wearing here, and merch from our other shows. We are now running 4 concurrent shows on Turin Giants. These post games, we have The Scoop with our man Fred here and our friend Zach, who's missing today, as well as After Hours with Farhad, and It's Black and White, hosted by Zach and Fred, with the occasional guest debating things that are Juventus world. So let's not forget to mention as well, merch we have available, like I said, and Scoop merch is available. So please check us out on turingiants.com. Boys, that was a tough pill to swallow.
Hold on. Before we begin, let's give it up for Jack. His first time hosting, babies.
Jack is popping his cherry, so at least we have that to look back on.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. So wanted to start off today. Highlights and lowlights. Unfortunately, a lot more lowlights than highlights. Farhad.
Yes,
what
sir.
Stood out to you today? Highlights.
Say it again.
What stood out to you? Highlights and lowlights.
Highlight was the Cagliari goal to me. I was just telling you guys that's an amazing goal that we should be scoring. But yeah, I mean, there's not much we can discuss as far as highlights. We'll get into it. I say, we discussed the situation at the table coming up to the game with Inter winning and Napoli winning. That was a bad tactical loss as far as points go. If it was Allegri, he'd be in a post press conference. He would be talking about losing points here and calculating how much we really lost. So I'm not smart enough to do that, but mathematically, that was a doozy. We should not have lost this one.
Was this a throw in the coat, Fred, and ripping the tie off for Allegri?
It should be. It should
he still has his jacket on, but
I mean, looking back on the game, I think we can all concur that we were just not up to par, and we started playing very well in the last 20 minutes, created a lot of mistakes. A lot of chances, beg your pardon, but it wasn't good enough. And I think this is the big takeaway of the season of Juventus. We're just not good enough. We lack quality. Our defense is okay-ish to eventually compete in Italy. The midfield is not up to par, and don't get me started on the forwards. And if we play as a team and we play very well with a lot of high pressure and we have teams that succumb to that, then we look like a well-oiled machine. But if we have to make and force ourselves into a game by individual efforts, then we just fall short. And I think that's the grand synopsis that went through my head all game long. So
Yeah, it was pretty poor up front. I got to agree. Let's go through the starting 11. Curious what your thoughts are before kickoff, right? So we did finally officially, I think, on paper and on the field, look like a 4-2-3-1. Pedin in goal, a bit of a surprise for me. Kalulu, Bremer, Kelly, Cambiaso across the back. Locatelli and Koopmeiners in front of them with McKennie, Miretti, Yildiz, and Jonathan David up top. Any surprises there for you guys?
yeah, for me it was Koopmeiners. Once again, a shot for Koopmeiners at redemption. And in my opinion, he failed. He didn't play an awful game, didn't make any big mistakes, but he didn't stand out in any way, shape, or form. And he's still light years away from the Koopmeiners we saw at Atalanta, and the reason we purchased him. And that's not my biggest gripe. I think my biggest gripe overall this game is that we waited too long to make any adjustments. I think we should have done something by the end of the first half, because you could see that we were a bit tame and we weren't creating enough opportunities, and that it was going to get even more difficult with every minute that passed. And I think we should have been a bit more resolute in the beginning of the second half.
Agreed. Farhad, how about for you? Any surprises in the starting 11?
Not really.
Yeah.
I don't have any starting 11 thoughts. Yeah.
This is one of those, I think, over the past few weeks where David's earned his spot, but today he failed to impress again.
Boy, he had a few chances, didn't he? This was the game to kind of solidify himself. Sadly, But
the same can be said from Koopmeiners and Cambiaso as well. I understand the hate or the negative comments towards David, and sometimes they're justified, but we tend to focus too much on him. Look at a player we paid 60 million euros for and hasn't done anything. A Cambiaso who feels that he's the reincarnation of Diego Maradona, and every week he's giving us mediocre performances and still has a starting place. If we look at Thuram, who has concrete cement blocks on his feet. If we look at a Zhigrova, that's pretty much a dishwasher on the pitch. I mean, we can go on and on. Yeah, but these are the things that we need to take into account. And like I said, it works well when we're in a state that we can play with the team. But today you saw that we lacked something, and I want to quote Kevin and give him a big shout out. He isn't here today, but I want to shout out to Kevin, and he texted in our group that we could play for 3 hours and won't score.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel that, and it was around the 65-minute mark, and if you have that feeling, then something is never, it's just not good enough. And I've seen stronger Cagliari sides, to be honest. This wasn't the Cagliari that impressed me. So I don't know, from heaven to hell again, and that's a shame because we should have built on this momentum, because the tough games are yet to fall.
Yeah, shout out some of our friends in the chat here. Chris, Zach's in there, our boy Zach. Hey Zach, how are you? Mitch, and Sky makes a comment that I think I do have to agree with, that this starting 11 was good enough to win. What do you think, Farhad?
I think so. I mean, we've had the momentum on our side, and there was no surprise. Like I said, for me, there was no surprises in the starting 11. This should have been a win. I don't know what happened mentally. I don't understand if you're happy with your performances and you're hugging players and kissing players. We should definitely talk about parking the bus. Was it? Frederic, let me ask you, is this the team that I'm talking about Juve? Were they just shell-shocked from all of the defense that was so close to them, shutting players down and parking the bus, quote unquote?
No.
This was
This.
a winnable game, even with a parking the bus.
I mean, this happens to a lot of teams that play, in top three, four, five. They get to smaller teams between hyphens, and they park the bus or put down a very low block. It's up to us to overcome that. And if you look at the players we have on the pitch, that should be doable. But if we play with the speed that sea turtles play, then you'll make it difficult on yourself. We only started playing when we were down, so we played for
What a
20
shock!
minutes. The rest was weak, was tame, was not fast enough, not ferocious enough. The high block, high press didn't work. So, all in all, we didn't even have that many opportunities. A lot of scrambles in front of goal, a lot of shots from the second line. But if we were to talk about, well played out opportunities, I don't think there were any. So to me, that's an issue as well. And you could see today, Kanan was trying to force it too much, but there was no other choice. And you see
Hmm.
that if Kanan falls short, we all fall short, and that's for me a disgrace. I'm not saying you should have 11 star players on the team, but you should have at least two, three, four players who can make a difference in a positive aspect, especially when you're attacking against the Cagliari side. And we didn't. So it's back to basics, I think, and I hope that Spalletti will rip him a new one, because this was on them. This was on them,
Hmm.
because you could hear Spalletti all game shouting higher, faster, higher, press, 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 and they didn't follow up. So
I mean, do you think our schedule is that packed that the players are just tired? What do you? I mean, we can't judge them, but they did look a little sluggish. J Medical maybe a little more work post games to get the players ready for the next game. We got Champions League coming up. I hope they recover because there's not going to be any walking around.
I do have to agree with Fred. I thought Kenan was trying to do a little bit too much. If for some reason this game seemed to be weighing on him today, particularly when they scored. But I also, while I'm giving him credit, I think we needed to take a step back when he tries to do too much, except for that shot he put on target in the 83rd-ish minute. He was pretty poor. He had a couple of good crosses. Everything goes high. I don't know why. I feel like a lot of shots he take go high. Look like he's got caught up with under his feet the ball a couple times. I just didn't see him at his usual self today. I thought a lot of them were subpar, just to agree with you, Fred. I thought he was subpar. Cambiaso was subpar. Coop was subpar. And we have our usual standouts, right? You guys talk about them all the time on you've talked about, on It's Black and White. We've talked about him on this pod before. Kelly, decent game. But I'm a decent game. Our back line, decent. It's just we create nothing in attack. Even when we put two wide players on, nothing was really happening, right? We were first playing more in the channels, and then once Zhegrova and Conceição were on the field, we were trying to play the ball out wide and swing it in. And we just don't have, we don't have the
Personnel.
put something striker, who's going to head that ball in.
it's it's
Sorry, Fred, go
it's
ahead.
no, it's just a poorly assorted team in terms of complementary issues. It's really, really poorly assembled. And if you take away the fact that, in terms of player characteristics, it's poorly assembled, that's one thing. But, also have to keep in mind a lot of the players that we have now are just mediocre players, or just good players, but nothing earth shattering, nothing that stands out. So if they don't perform at 120% with the whole team, with 11 individuals, then it's going to be a difficult game. And sometimes those difficult games we can manage, and we can get out a win or a draw if needed. But with opponents like these, who tackle for every ball and fight for every square inch, it gets really, really difficult. And then you're somewhat unlucky that they shoot on goal one time, they score, but that was to be expected. That's basically a football law. If you dominate and you can't score, then it's just a matter of time before the others do. And we should have seen that coming. We should have seen that coming, and that to me spells out that this team not only lacks quality but also maturity.
Mm.
It's a mature side, keeps their heads calm, knows how to press in the beginning moments, and knows how to suffocate the opponents. And we just are not able to do that.
Mature side,
Frederic,
they know how to win. We highlighted Mitch's comment a moment ago, right? Napoli played horrible today and won. Inter didn't look great. They managed to win. Right? We can't play to the level of our opponents or have a horrible game and still come out with 3 points. We don't have the quality to do that, nor do we have the mentality to do that right now, which is sad to say because it seemed like we had turned a corner. But today, to me, was very concerning.
Frederic, do you want to deal with the De Gregorio comments now
No,
or
I mean,
later?
for me,
to reference that De Gregorio is 40 times better than Perin, obviously.
no, it's if you put those two together and you make one keeper out of both of them, you still wouldn't have a good goalie. So, I mean, that point is moot in my opinion. Also, at the goal, I think Perin was not at fault because he couldn't see. I think this was a defensive error, and I think he saw the ball late, which can happen. But the player on the edge of the box should never get the opportunity to strike a first-time shot there. Never,
Yeah.
ever. So. Yeah, we fell short in that, and I think it was somebody from the midfield. It was either I think Koop or Luka who had to guard him, and they didn't. So
Yeah.
was it Burns' fault?
I say that jokingly because you are
No,
the anti De Gregorio guy, which is okay. But
I'm
people remember.
I'm anti-mediocre players. That's why I've been smoking so much this season. I'm anti-mediocre players, and we have a bunch of them. And the thing is, and I said that ad nauseum. If you have a goalkeeper that's mediocre and doesn't get points for you, then he gets scaffolded, earlier than somebody else because he's the ultimate last line of defense. So if he falls short, then automatically it's a goal. So, what do you want me to say? He's not, a world-class keeper. He'll never be a world-class keeper. And, as for me, bashing, I mean, I don't hate any of the guys in our team. I just want to, I don't want us to get used to mediocrity. And it seems that we're doing that. Oh, we're going for fourth place. Yes. Okay. That's not something I wish to compete for. Then, I would have become a Sassuolo supporter or something.
That's such a hard thing, I feel like, to digest, right? The difference between being realistic, or that dichotomy between being realistic and wanting this Juve to perform like the Juve that we remember.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm looking at substitutions here, but for the sake of time, there was no subs during halftime because the chat over here is bringing up the fact that Spalletti flopped today. Subs came in too late. Strategy to spam crosses was wrong. Your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna let Jack handle this one first.
Yeah, first sub's late. First sub is Miretti for Openda in the 66th minute, and I'm sorry, Openda for Miretti and Zhigrova for Locatelli. Way too late. Way too late. Again, trying to play through the channels wasn't working. So I understand the substitutions to take the ball further out wide, but then why bring Openda on, right? To me, those two things don't make sense. Maybe Adzic first, right? You have that height. If you're going to put him up there, although even when he came on, to be perfectly honest, I saw him sitting back a little further. But there you go, Mitch, right in the chat. I'll put it right up there. So the next thing we were going to say, right?
Yeah.
Why?
Also,
David, there we go. Good call, Mitch.
Also, just Koopmeiners starting didn't make sense to me because we know that the pivot Loka Koop just doesn't work. It doesn't, and yet we keep on trying to do that in order to give, I think, Koopmeiners a chance at redemption. But for me, I mean, I'm out of chances.
Koopmeiners is the Titanic at this point.
The same with Openda. Granted, Openda had fewer minutes or doesn't get starting. Doesn't start as a striker, but this Openda just looks out of shape. Let alone settling in or fulfilling your duties, what the coach expects of you. He just looks damn near out of shape, and yeah, the crossing is a problem. the set pieces are a problem. And I saw a lot of people clamoring, "Oh, we're gonna buy a Palace forward, Komoli out, Komoli out. Why are we buying him?" I think it's obvious why we're buying him,
He's a
because
big
our
target.
our our our, our strikers are wet blankets. They
But
couldn't
but
they couldn't they couldn't score in a brothel with a pile of cash.
but at least our free kicks are chef's kiss, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
It's
not even 20 minutes, 25 minutes into the game, and they had 3 counterattacks. Not that
I
they
mean,
did much, but
when was the last time Juve fans sat there at the edge of their seat waiting for a free kick? Like this one's going in. It's not since the days of Del Piero have I or Pjanic maybe, but man,
we,
free
we
kicks
we
have been
come
a
from an
problem.
era where we had Del Piero, we had Pjanic, we had Pirlo,
Zidane,
we had Zidane, we had sometimes even Vidal, Tevez.
yeah.
Um,
There's a famous picture of David's Del Piero and Zidane standing over over a free kick, and the caption is like, when the keeper sees that, he knows he's effed, but not. They might as well leave the goal when Koopmeiners steps up, or Miretti, or they're trying to play a tricky free kick, and that man, that should.
if Zach was here, he'd have the stat in his back pocket because he's like that. But I'm curious, have we had more own goals or scored from dead balls?
more
Oh, is
own
that
goals.
the famous Zach pop quiz?
No. I'm wondering which
More own goals. I don't even have to research that. More own goals easily. I
right?
can't even remember when we had a dead ball situation that turned into a goal. Because if you look, how many corners did we get today? 20.
It was 18 at one point. I don't know if tell you what.
It was 18 like 5 minutes prior
Yeah,
to the end. So yeah, let's give it 18 to 20, and we have 4 shots on goal.
corner kicks,
Uh,
18-1.
I'll let Jack handle the game itself, but I do have the question for you. You mentioned Cambiaso. There's no chance he's out, right? For in January or summer, even summertime. What's Freddie Scoop saying?
Freddie Scoops is saying if we can all pitch in and start a GoFundMe, we can shoot the guy to the moon. I think
Done.
that's our closest option in getting rid of him. I think we made a very big mistake by denying him his move to City. Um, if a club is interested, they'll come a knocking in the summer. But for January, I can't see it happening. I don't also think that Spalletti would want to let him go. Not that Spalletti's such a huge fan of him, but he's the only valid player with a bit of running stamina that we have on that side. So I don't know. There haven't been
Yeah.
any offers or any
Oh.
requests for him. So
You mean people are not lined up outside the outside the door
yeah,
for this
it's
stallion?
strange to hear, but it's not the case. No, no. He thinks they do. He thinks they do,
Uh-huh.
but they don't.
So just to correct ourselves here, someone says that Cabal scored from a corner, so that's a dead ball situation, but nearly not enough.
Listen,
Not enough.
we've had 3 own goals in the past 3 weeks, right? Because McKinney's didn't count. We got one against Sassuolo. Is that 2? Probably. We don't need to look up those statistics. So I know we're going to talk first half, second half, boys. Anything else about the way the game unfolded stands out to you? We talked subs. We talked gameplay. We talked some highs and lows. What
Yeah,
else?
I was actually I watched this whole video on Juve's new system, and how Spalletti ball is starting to be noticed in Europe, and for that for that system to flourish, you need space, right? So as I was watching the game, I was thinking, every system gets found out. Was our system already found out by the likes of Cagliari? Because they played us so close, shutting down, double teaming, triple teaming players. Is that it, Fred? Have Spalletti balls been
No,
no?
because if you occupy an opponent's player with 2 of your own or 3 of your own, then space gets shifted towards another side of the pitch. It's on us to take advantage of that. If you have 2 or 3 guys sticking with Yildiz, then surely there must be some space for David. But if David
Mhm.
stands there with his hands in his side and doesn't move or walk in or run into space, then it's over. And
Yeah.
that's my biggest gripe. You could see there was space opening up on certain parts of the pitch, but the players were not interested in following that up and didn't follow up Spalletti's advices on the sideline either. So, I mean, you're basically sabotaging yourself because if this team doesn't perform at 110%, it doesn't perform at all. And if your coach is screaming, shouting, hollering, space is there, go there, then and you don't, then you make it hard on yourself. And the first half we did that a lot more,
Or
or
right.
better, because we had Moretti with more overview, more vision. Then once we had to switch Moretti because he was obviously tired, he doesn't have the match rhythm yet, which is not his fault because he didn't have that many games in his legs already. But if you see that that doesn't work, then you need to shift. And I mean this from a player point of view. At a certain point, we had 5 attacking-minded players on, and we didn't even get a shot on goal apart from the Kenan strike. So what are they doing there? Zegrova is going back wide, left, right, slipping, um, doesn't deliver a decent cross. The same can be said for Conceição. I'm sorry, but we're speaking about 60 million euros in player transfers that just don't do anything. Zegrova hasn't scored, hasn't given an assist. I think Conceição has given 1 assist and scored 3 in this season.
Hmm.
We paid over
Yeah.
60 million for that combined. Then we talk about Koopmeiners, who we paid 66 million for, hasn't done nothing apart from a goal in his first season.
Well, you just said that we shouldn't get used to mediocrity, but
Mm.
I'm pretty sure we're already used to mediocrity. Sad to say, from early exits in the Champions League, that's when it started. Now, fighting for fourth place. I just saw an article that said Juve's title hopes are dashed after a lot. I was like, was there ever really, really? I mean, there was hope, but was
I mean,
anyone really thinking of
I
overtaking
I,
Inter at
I
this
want
point?
I want to hear Jack's opinion on that, but for me, it's not just about the title or winning it per se. It's about being competitive and
For sure.
improving season after season. And this is what one of my gripes is because we are improving if we look back at last season, but at the end of the line, the table is what counts. So what are we improving on? We're scoring a bit more, but not by much. We still concede too much, in my opinion. And if you look at the quality or the attacking mindedness of our midfielders in terms of scoring and assist making, it's abysmal. So
Yeah.
We we concede too easily.
yeah,
And that's
easily.
a huge concern, right? And I mentioned that a little bit earlier. My issue has been not this season, but for a few seasons. That dichotomy between wanting Juve to be Juve, but also trying to be realistic. We'd love to see them winning. We'd love to see them challenging for a title, but we don't have the players. Just to go back on what you said earlier, Fred, I was sad to see Miretti come off. I agree with you. It was probably a match fitness issue. He's not going 90 minutes, but he was the one running in the channel, right? When David would pop out, we saw that in the first half, right? Drop back, collect the ball, hold up, wait for support. I mean, that's how it wasn't a penalty, right? When he got blocked in the box or the ball was taken off of him. That's a nice run. That's what we need to see more of. And
Yeah.
him coming off to me was sad because Openda, granted, the box was a lot more crowded when he came on, but Openda comes on, he doesn't do any of that.
No, but this is also, and I've been thinking about that because I saw a lot of Kamoli hate, and sometimes it's justified. But I feel that we should, evaluate Kamoli at the end of the summer transfer window. But if you look at how many times we switched coaches, how many times we switched management, this coach get this player in, then all of a sudden Kamoli decides, then it's back to Mota, then Tudor wants this guy. You're stuck with a bunch of nothing. because every coach or every manager picks the player that he feels is best in a certain situation. But if you switch that managerial role, that coach role every 4 to 5 months, then there's no longevity in the whole project. So in my opinion, what you need to do now to remedy this, to next season, if you choose Spalletti, and Spalletti has proven that he can work wonders. If you decide to go with him, give him the names or the players that match the attributes that he wants. Don't be all, oh, I want this player, I want that player. This player is a opportunity. My algorithm says this. No, sit down together. Hey, Luciano, what do you need in order to make this team competitive? What do you need in defense? What do you need in midfield? What do you need up front? We'll take care of the rest. You don't want to play a pen anymore? We'll get rid of him. Might be a minus in our books, but hey, you didn't pick him. You weren't here. Not your fault. We need to move on. We need to be competitive in one way or another. So,
how much do the two of you attribute today's gameplay to Spalletti? How much are we hanging on him?
10%. 10% for the subs that were a bit late, but I can see a standpoint because I think a lot of players that came in today are going to be starters for our game against Benfica. I honestly feel that Turin is going to be a starter against Benfica, and that's why he chose to put Koopmeiners there. So, from that standpoint, I can relate. So, I think he just waited a bit too long, but it's in hindsight, it's very easy to criticize him because all of a sudden, if he didn't do the substitutions and David would have had one in, then it's hallelujah to Spalletti. But that's the only thing I can really think of.
Speaking of Jack, go ahead. And I want to read Spalletti. We're finally getting Spalletti's quotes. Yeah, I'm reading here on Yahoo. Do you mind if I pop in?
Quick, I'm just curious to pull on that thread that Fred was talking about with Comoli, right? I'm interested. This is when the relationships can get a bit challenging, right? When we start to hit some bumps. Spalletti's been in charge now for 10 weeks-ish. Right, and he hasn't hit too many bumps yet. Things have been going pretty smoothly. I think he's pulled all of the right levers. Some of the players have shown some improvement. But what happens when there's friction? Right, we know Comoli is very data driven. He wants to look at his numbers. Spalletti, to me, always seemed like from Udinese and Inter days, he feels the game. Right, is he going to feel that way about the same players that Comoli wants to bring in, and how much leeway is Comoli going to give Spalletti to make decisions?
I know there is a bit more leeway given to Spalletti and Ottolini and the whole management now because it gets talked about a lot more. But, in regards to the comments you highlighted about me, defending Comoli, I'm not defending anyone. I just don't think it's fair to assess somebody just right now, because if you're a football player, then it's easy. You played football your whole life. You need to do what your coach tells you. You're professional. You have the talent. You have the skill. You just need to execute. With a CEO or somebody up in management, it's a bit more difficult, especially given the situation where we came from financially. So I'll give him a bit of leeway on that. But I have to concur with people, the likes of Mikael and Chad, and I think it was somebody else. I think Samba who said something as well. But I think it's just fair to evaluate him after the summer transfer market. And if he then, gets in tons of players we don't need or don't perform or whatever, I'll be the first to wave the Comoli out flag for the sake of my club. But we need to
single positive comment about Comoli here. I don't have time to bring them all up.
No, but it's deservedly, because up until now he's failed. But up until now, you should wait for a couple of months to see what's gonna happen, because now we're all screaming against Comoli. But what if he brings Ruben Neves and Bernardo Silva in, and Senesi?
Well, Mitch is trying to be positive. He says he's brought in Spalletti. That's good enough for me for now.
It helps. And listen, unfortunately, we have a short fuse. We have short memories. And we
Yeah.
tend not to give people a chance. We were all sitting on our couches at this time last year, shitting all over Lloyd Kelly. And he's been one of our most consistent players over the last 6 months. So sometimes people need time. I think even Komoli, coming from an entirely different league, needs some time. You have to settle into any job. We all know that as adults and professionals. You're going to do something new. You need some time to settle in. It takes some time
Also,
to the
There's a
environment.
shout for Moji to come back.
I
That's-
want to
Yes, sir.
highlight another thing. Skyline 1777 says he's being paid to improve Juventus. He's not being paid to improve Juventus. He's put there by Alcon to get the financial hogwash that we had over the last couple of years in order. That's his main job, because Komoli is looking at everything. I mean, every penny that is being spent, Komoli's overseeing that. So he's just put there not to restore us to glory, to bring us trophies. No, he's paid by Alcon to get the books in order.
I think he's still responsible for us improving. If he got the
Of
book,
course he is. Of course he is. But he has priorities. He has
Sure.
to answer to Alcon. And Alcon says priority number one, get the books in order, get us financial healthy. If you have time and resources left, try to get us some trophies, try to get us back to a competitive space. But your main focus should be the financial part. That's why he's got, bumped up to CEO, because he needs to take certain decisions, logistically, financially speaking, that only a CEO can take. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why Komoli was put there. He was put there because he can fetch players with a certain quality based on an algorithm and not just transfer market stats or big checks. No, that's one of his qualities, but his main quality is getting the most out of a financial influx without spending too much. So
I think it's a delicate balance. I'd only come back and say if the books are balanced at the end of the season and we finish 5th, you're not going to
And
see.
then
it's done.
You're not going to see any of them, right? And then
And it's done.
so
All right, boys. Let's switch some gears. Go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
I don't know. I was going to say, did you find the comments?
Yes, sir. So Spalletti's words here right after the game. Cagliari deserved it because they fought for every ball, closed up, and tried to go on the counter. We were unable to be determined enough in preparing for the situations. There are games that go like this. We move on. Then he talks about the substitutes that got swept up in the frantic nature of the game. Kalulu and Kelly then started pushing up the flanks, but no, they are defenders that needed to be defending. We can complain about that. Players need to stay in their roles, but in general, we played our game, suffocated every attempt at a counterattack. It was destined to go like this. There's no point of crying over spilt milk. He threw a couple players there under the bus. I missed that quote, but he says Zhigrova and Conceição dropped back to get the ball in the midfield rather than stay up there. So got too far away from the hot areas of the pitch. So he's talking about Kelly and Kalulu and Zhigrova. And you mentioned one of you guys mentioned Zhigrova and Conceição just didn't go out there to do what they had to do.
No, and this has been the case all season, because I like Zhigrova as a player. He's a player that potentially you buy tickets for to see him play, but he doesn't produce anything. Neither does Conceição. And we spent, granted, maybe we bought Zhigrova on the cheap, but that was still 17 million. Conceição was 33 without wages and whatnot. So if I'm out here shelling out 50, 60 million for two players, I want them to perform, especially against Cagliari. I don't expect him to score hat tricks every week against Real Madrid or Barcelona, but if you can't score or produce an assist against Cagliari.
My son made me laugh, Fred. You'd appreciate this. He compared Zhigrova to a fake diamond because he looks pretty and does a lot of dancing on the field. But when you get up close, you could tell there's no value.
He's a typical futsal player. And when you're winning 3-0 and he does his little tricks and, gets past the defender or plays the ball between the legs of a defender, then it's all, applauding and whatnot, and everybody's grateful. But when you're in these types of situations where you have to fight for every inch, where you have to struggle, where you have to see some grit, determination, mentality, and especially effectiveness, then he just falls short. So
Jack, you mentioned your son comparing Jagrova to Diamond. I've always said this was my the fake Diamond. This was the way I described Bernardeschi. Do you guys remember Bernardeschi was just so mediocre? Like, I don't want people to think he was amazing. His one good game was against Atletico. I always described these types of players. It's looks like a football player, runs like a football player. The whole getup, the haircut, and everything, but just kind of a fraud. He does the part. It's like a car that is like a 10K car that looks like a really good racing car, but it really isn't. It's just one of those situations where, like Frederic said, he does the step overs and nutmegs, but when it really matters, like is he really that good? I guess we're still about to find out.
In my prime, when I had hair and less fat and more muscle, and I could kick a ball.
When was that? Can I ask you?
Yeah, sure. When did I have hair, or when I started losing it?
The last time you brushed your hair?
I think I was about 22, 23 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay, hey, you're going to look young forever, man.
That's 20 years ago. That's 20 years ago. It pains me to say. But I had chances to move up and get transferred to teams that were played, a league higher or whatever. And I never did that because I knew that I was going to fail. And that's not something... I knew I couldn't handle the pressure in terms of, you have to perform every day on the training pitch, on game day, and for me that was too much. And I think the likes of players like Conceição, Openda, they have the same. They're good when they play, a level lower. But once you get, tested to the real deal and not just Lille or Leipzig or whatever, you fall short. And
it's such a crazy. I thought about it today. It's such a crazy balance of, you want to buy. Do you want to buy a superstar and then you come to Juve and they're not good, and then you buy a player who has the ceiling from Lille or Leipzig or whatever, and then they're not performing either. Like, so where do you go to find that? Maybe Yildiz, who was brought up by kind of our academy. Like, what's the golden rule in purchasing a player that will perform? Superstar, rising star, or someone from the academy?
Two things. You look at the person behind the footballer first, and you base your judgment on that. That's what Moji did. And it worked out for him at times.
That's a second shout out. That's a second Moji shout out on the pod.
Yeah, but that's the way he handled it. He said, first I look at the person and then I look at the player. That's very important. And second thing is your scouting. Your scouting needs to be on top. And we had good scouts that left Juventus, a number of people who brought the likes of Kenan Yildiz in. If you don't have people viewing these 16, 17-year-old players, take a shot on them, then you're left with nothing but, purchasing players for 60, 70 million who had a decent season at Atalanta or Fiorentina. And that's what we're doing right now. I mean, Openda had one good season, then fell a bit short. We still purchase him. Conceição played at Ajax. He didn't do anything at Ajax. We still purchase him. I mean, you could argue for Jagrova because he's quite relatively fresh and new, and the same goes for Thuram. These are people that have potential, but even if it goes sideways, you don't lose a lot of money. But spending 60 million, 35 million, 40 million on players that already proved that they cannot handle the next step, for me, that's, looking, finding the trouble on yourself, and it makes no sense to me.
We don't have enough of the Locatelli acquisitions. those acquisitions that can come into the team, can fill a role, can be productive and be positive. And yes, they might not be the next star, but they're going to come on and they're going to have an impact on the game and have an impact on the team. We have found ourselves either signing players for too much money who are complete flops, right? Or not bringing in the right kind of players. They put on, I hate the shirt's too heavy thing, right? But they put the shirt on and they're either ready or they're not ready. And the ones that are not ready, unfortunately, are the ones who are putting pen to paper right now. We're not getting enough of the players who are ready. And I'd rather take a team full of consistently productive players than what we have now, which is one superstar, one or two productive players, mostly on defense, and the rest who just don't perform. Right? You build this game through the midfield, and I don't think we have the midfield, and we don't have the attack to really make a difference, especially with these against these low block teams.
No, but that's exactly my point. If you look at Lloyd Kelly, who's not the biggest talent in our team, he spent the summer at Turin. He stayed there. He trained every day.
Mm-hmm.
He still does the same. So that's a player that says, okay, I'm not as good as the rest, maybe, but I'm going to make up for that in mentality, in practicing, in whatever I can do to improve myself. If you have players like Conceição, like Cambiasso, like Openda, who think that they've already made it and they're superstars, while they actually don't perform, then it's a lost cause.
Exactly what you were saying about Moji, right? The man first. Yeah. Who's the person first, right? That's Lloyd Kelly right there. That's a perfect example, right? What did he do? The man wanted to improve. He wanted to improve himself. He wanted to improve his game. He wanted to learn Italian. He wanted to learn Juve and the environment and the city of Torino. And he made a difference. He makes a difference now, because the man wanted to do those things first. All right, boys. I know we have to do it. Unfortunately, it's going to be difficult today, but
I have a very big testicles.
Yeah.
All right. So, Farhad, you've been a little quiet. Anybody?
Being really, I've been talking more than usual. I'm guessing biggest testicles of the game. Who got the? Let's see. I'm on SofaScore, of course. It's the most complicated website in the world. Why do I not have my? Anyway, I mean, Yildiz stands out to me. He tried to do his best, maybe a little too much, like Frederic said. But I mean, you can't fault him for trying. You could see he was upset by what's going on around him, and they double teamed him. He still tried to get an open space, try to get some shot on goal. But who above Yildiz, if anybody can tell me a player that played better than him in this abysmal game?
I guess if I had to pick one, I think I'd pick Kelly once again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or
out of the defenders, you don't think it was Bremer? Because I thought Bremer was pretty good too.
Bremer's really good, but Kelly, for me, moving forwards, has a bit more, shall I say it, pizzazz than Bremer.
Ooh,
Kelly is a guy that can also score in certain situations. Bremer as well with a well-timed header, but I'd rather, if I had to choose and we were on the attack, I'd rather let Bremer stay in the back and move Kelly forward. But I'm gonna keep riding that train, Zach. I'm gonna keep riding that train. For me, Kelly is the biggest turnaround of the season. But it's true that Kelly didn't got really put to the test today. The people that were tested today failed miserably. It's as simple as that.
So, since the De Gregorio debacle, when I said he was a player of the match, ever since then, we have a tradition. The worst player on SofaScore was David, with 5.5, with a big old red number next to him, and I feel bad for the guy, to be honest. After the whole thing, and he's getting bashed once again. Not a good look.
I do have to agree. It has to be difficult mentally, right? You miss that PK, and you're at the bottom, and then you start to mentally maybe crawl out a bit, get a little bit of positive press and score goals and an assist, and then have today. Sorry,
no, but I hate that sugarcoating. Like David gets paid $6.5 million a year. Can we expect something, or should we say, poor guy, I feel bad for him, he tried. But yeah, it's like it's not the Special Olympics where everybody gets a medal. You get paid $6.5 million plus bonuses. Yeah. Start scoring, start doing something. And if you're not up to it, fine. Go to management, say, look, this is not for me. Can we move on? Can I get a transfer to this, there, or that? And you move out of the situation.
I like that Fred. I like that Fred can separate a player from the person. Like I feel bad for David personally, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I don't, and neither for the other players as well. Like I read a McKennie interview. He said, "Yeah, I've been treated poorly by Juventus. My locker room, my number, my this, my that." Okay, good. I mean, that's not nice, but for us, common people on a common work floor, bad shit happens too. And we don't get paid millions. We don't, appear in a paper whining about it. Get over it. You're playing at Juventus. McKennie was shit. He was loaned out. Obviously, your locker room or your locker is going to get swapped out. I couldn't choose my number. Oh, no. I mean, like, I've had it with these, like, just come back, prove you're worth it, and you'll get your locker, you'll get your number, you'll get your $3.5-4 million a year. But don't come just nagging about things when you haven't performed yet. And I spoke about McKennie. I didn't mean about McKennie personally, just as a whole. It's just so soft. Like there has to be some sort of pressure. There has to be some sort of barometer that says that you're going to cut it or you're not. And if you don't cut it at certain games or in certain moments, then maybe, just maybe, it's up to you. Because if you're a striker and you can't score 10 goals a season in a team as Juventus, maybe it has something to do with you. Vlahovic got paid $12 million this year. He missed half the chances he got. Maybe it's up to him.
Jack, who was your player? Who was the biggest testicles of the game?
I mean, they weren't tested at all. I thought Kalulu played a nice couple passes. He was pretty solid down that side.
Oh, a couple of passes.
Yes, listen, the bar is really freaking low today. I mean, he played a couple balls into the channel. He took that one shot that he whipped across the front of the goal and no one ran onto the back post. I don't know. It was really tough today. They were tough to watch. It was very frustrating. Yeah. I texted the chat at one point saying, I don't see it happening. It was like a half an hour left, and I didn't see it happening.
I mentioned it in the chat. Mediocrity had a couple of shot attempts, but you're not fooling anyone with that little step. You have to, if you're the rule of an outside of the box shot, you gotta be so explosive, so surprising that half a second that you take to set the ball up, the keeper's onto you. And I as much as I appreciate Mediocrity trying to shoot from the outside because the box was stacked, you gotta give a shot. You have to get the shot out quicker than that.
But that's missing match rhythm. That's missing match rhythm, and he is a slow player, as a characteristic. But he's faster than that. But if you don't have that match rhythm and you have difficulty in assessing timing, which is normal for not having played that many games, then it's logical. But I'm not gonna fault Moretti on today. He wasn't good. I'm not gonna say that he wasn't good, but for me, Moretti was one of the players that at least looked like they gave a damn in the first half. And if I see David walking around, just with head in his way, hands in his waist, then for me,
Well, there's some comments on Mediocrity. Mediocrity was not good today. Mediocrity was goddamn awful today. Mediocrity's like Windows 98. He's too slow. And then Zach comes back. Hey, Windows 98 was awesome.
Thank goodness cheering us up a bit.
Yeah, Zach is in the comments. Shout outs to Zach. Who's the flop of the? Are we agreeing that the flop of the game was David?
Yeah.
Openda.
100%.
Panda.
I mean,
Did he touch the ball? I'm
By
not
accident.
it's
way. I don't know. He did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
no, and it's gonna be that way till the end of the season. We mustn't kid ourselves. We know what we have. We know what we have to work with, and it's not gonna improve miraculously. I think Spalletti got out of the team. He's at 90% of what he can get out of these players. And bar that 10% that's left, that's not going to make for drastic changes.
Isn't it crazy that in all of the thousands of chats and comments sections and stuff, I think the name that popped up more than even a Juve player's name was Mira. Sorry, not Mira. I just read Mina.
Mina.
He had him. He had our forwards wrapped up. They just couldn't do anything. At the end, I like the scuffle between Mina and Zhigrova. Like Zhigrova, read the room, dude. This guy is 6'5", and then I like that Turam stepped in and
Mina's an expert.
Protected his body.
Mina's an expert at wasting time. He always does that.
I mean, as a weaker team, I feel like part of your game plan is to frustrate and
playing the game. All right, boys. I think we're just under an hour here. I want to put a little bow on this game. This was a nice therapy session. The chat made us laugh. We want to shout out again, Mitch, Forza Juve, Eric, Zach, our boy joining us, Joshua, Juve Bunjo. Sky was on a little earlier. We thank all of you for coming on. One thing I want to do, because we are on a short week, 2 more games in the next 8 days. Just want to look real quick. Wednesday, Benfica. I'm curious if we have any thoughts on the game coming up. Fred, you mentioned it earlier about some of the players on the field today, potentially starting on Wednesday. What do we think? What do we think we're going to see on the pitch? Who's going to make a difference, and what are our predictions?
It depends on how we play. If we play with high press that we can keep up, and we play with 4 in the back, and that hybrid version that we played the past couple of games with, I can see us doing well, even though my emotions are now shouting no because we're shit and we played shit. But if we keep our wits and our heads cool, and Spalletti prepares the game, with the win in mind and not on limiting damage or doing damage control, maybe we can do something. And I disagree with the Chad. We never won against Benfica. I know we haven't played that often against them either, so that's a bit of a thing that goes both ways. But Benfica isn't that great either this season. Neither are we. But if we can, stick to our game plan, get up that high press, and have the players actually move into space, then we can do something.
High press means in my mind, you're anticipating David's going to start.
Yeah.
Benfica are currently 3rd in their national championship. I forgot to bring up the Champions League, but somebody suggested that we're going to draw. I don't think that's going to happen. There will be a winner. I don't think Juve and Benfica are going to play for a draw. There are a couple of other comments here. What if somebody said, what if we lose both to Napoli and Benfica? Come on, don't bring that kind of bad juju over here. We definitely need a win in the Champions League.
What's your score prediction, Farhad?
4-0 Di Gregorio poker. I'm just kidding. Listen, but to me, predictions were always kind of silly. I just want to win. I win 3-1. I'll be celebrating. A couple of goals by Yildiz and maybe a Bremer with a header. Since we're doing fantastical predictions here,
Here we go.
Hopefully it's a win, man.
Me, I'm going to say 2-1. I'll say 2-1 win. I think I agree with Farhad. There will be a winner, whether it's us or Benfica. I don't see a draw. Both teams need 3 points. They're both going to go for it.
Yeah. That's a question from chat from Masoud asking you guys review the CL table real quick. I'm going to do it just, within Juventus its spectrum, and both Juventus and Benfica basically need to win to get qualified for the next round. And we have how many games left? 2, I think.
Benfica and Monaco. We are currently sitting 17th with 9 points. If I'm not mistaken, 9 points. Benfica are sitting in 25th, so they are literally the first team out. So that's why I was asking before. I think they're going to come at us, right, Ed?
And it's Mourinho.
And it's Mourinho.
But that gives us possibilities. If we don't do the high press and they come out all guns blazing, then we'll get space. And if we have some space and Kenan can take advantage of that, then we could see a very good Juventus game. But I think Mourinho will play very defensively on the counter-attack, as Mitch in the chat also applied. I think he'll be on the lookout for those counters. But
I think if he watches today's game, he definitely will be doing that.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's a slippery slope, you know. Teams are finding out, and Mourinho is such a you love to hate. Like it's one of the coaches that I do follow online. I feel like he has such a iconic figure in sports. He's fell off a little bit, but he loves to beat Juve. He will have his hand by the ear if he beats us, sadly, and it's gonna make us mad. So I hope Juve players have that in the back of their minds, not to let him crush us again.
All right, boys. Yep. We've been here an hour. We haven't shed any tears yet, so I'm going to go do that by myself. I'm going to wrap us up here unless you guys have anything else to share. Any final thoughts?
Check out TurinGiants.com for scoop shirts. The boys tried really hard. Colo 99 design. Really cool. I wonder if I should have prepared it. You guys talk, and I'll bring up the.
Yeah, I'll fill that thing in. So we're starting with a limited edition run of scoop shirts, just because we had some people asking about those, and get yours while they're hot. Scoop them up, I'd say, because there aren't many left.
Look what you did there.
Yeah, you see what I did there, and it would mean the world to us because it would also give us some leeway because
the big screen here.
We put time and effort and money into this, and it'd be happy if we get something. There's our super scientific algorithmic ice cream logo, the way that and then our logo on the front, as you can see. Scoop them up while they're hot, I'd say.
I love that. I love support the boys. The Scoop boys really deserve it. The big, beautiful, bold bastards. I don't know. I might have used an extra word in there, but yeah, TurinGiants.com plus the hoodie that Jack is wearing, and Frederic got a comment on his Celine shirt. Did you get that at the Celine Dion concert?
Yeah. I'm not.
No, it's no. Somebody said that. I wasn't saying. I love your shirt.
No. I know. It's a European brand. Sorry.
I know. I love their hoodies. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mentioned at the top of the hour, though, right? Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I mean the world to us. And let's hope that we can meet again under better circumstances next Wednesday. We will also have a scoop session ready for you guys, a live one. Have to determine with Zach when it's doable, because as you know, we are both leaving for Torino at the end of next week, where we'll do our live reports from the game from the Allianz Stadium, together with our lovely not yet bald friend Kevin, and our bold master. What shall I put it? No, I was gonna say something. The OG Uncle Beppe, our good friend, will also be there. So tune in for that, and let's hope that we can discuss a win on Wednesday.
Yeah, but everyone, please take a moment, like, subscribe, follow, and check out our other shows. In addition to the post game and the scoop, Fred and Zach put in a lot of time to debate one another, go bald head to bald head on its black and white. So please check that show out. And, of course, the OG here, the original Farhad, with his new show After Hours. please check out After Hours when the next.
Yeah, we have some fun guests coming up, man. I'm talking to Beppe, Colo, obviously.
You're gonna interview me as well, I thought.
I said
You got
I was about to say every person
but
onto
I'm
the
lowest to
Giants.
the list. No, I got you.
We will dedicate one episode to each one of you. I don't want them in pairs because we started we regrouped the podcast and people don't really know much about y'all. So I will put you in a hot seat. We will have a relaxing conversation and we'll find out all about the craziness that goes on in each of the co-host heads. It's gonna be fun.
A lot of it.
That's a lot of crazy. That's a lot of crazy.
Got enough crazy. So again, everyone, thank you for joining us in the live. We appreciate your comments, your engagement. Again, give us a like, subscribe, share a link with your friends if you know that they're Juve fans, and tell them to join us on our next live broadcast. Our next live post game will be Wednesday after the Benfica game, and I will see you again next weekend post Napoli. Fred, Farhad, thank you everyone in the chat.
Love you all.
As always, fino alla fine, forza Juve.
La conclusione in rete, Andrea Pirlo, un gol pazzesco. Del Piero, Pogba, rete, un gol incredibile, Pogba fa esplodere lo Juventus.